Just before this episode starts, if you enjoy the Legit podcast, we produce 4 exclusive bonus episodes per month for our private members club on patreon.com. For the price of £1 a week, that's just £4 a month, the price of a beer or a fancy coffee, we produce these bonus episodes that have special guests on, various topics, and there's also merchandise offers and various bonuses you can have, competitions, all kinds. Get over there, support us, support the podcast by giving just £1 a week, link is below.
This episode of the podcast is kindly sponsored by Feel Supreme. Feel Supreme have been sponsoring the podcast for a number of weeks now. They're an incredible company. They've got the most diverse range of supplements. I've got some here, the CBD, which I've been taking, which is brilliant. The mushroom extract as well, which I've been taking once a day. They've got vitamin D3, vitamin C, a huge range of different health supplements, and you can get 10% off if you go to the code below, go to the link below, which is feelsupreme.co.uk/legit, and you get 10% off by clicking through and going through their website through that link below. Please support them. They've been a huge support of the podcast. They've got the most incredible products that I take daily, myself and Andy take daily as well. So anything you can do to support them ultimately supports us. Everything CBD, vitamin D3, vitamin C, which is obviously vitamin D3 massive at the moment, and vitamin C obviously really important for immune support. So go to the link below, click through, and you'll get 10% off your order. Rightio, we're live. It's a Legit podcast with myself, Tom Wickstead.
It's me, Andy Grant, and this week we've got Stephen Caulker. Nice one, mate.
All the way from sunny Turkey as well.
Where I am is sunny, but where I played the other day was minus 15, the worst conditions I've ever played in. So people are always surprised when I tell them just how big Turkey is and how much it varies from city to city.
Minus 15 in Turkey?
Minus 15. Never ever played in conditions like it. Minus 15, that was during the day. So night time we arrived was minus 26, 27. So where I am, I'm fortunate. I mean, we're 18 or 19 degrees today. But I was fortunate. I just got on a plane and come here. I had no idea about the city, no idea about the team. So I was lucky to end up at, one of the better cities here.
You know what you say about how big Turkey is? A bit of a random one, but when I was in the Marines and I went out to Iraq, before I went to Iraq, you have to tell the Marines if you're going anywhere on holiday that borders a country that we're at war with. Now, 6 months before I went to Iraq, I went to Turkey with my girlfriend at the time, and Turkey borders Iraq, which, I don't know, maybe everyone knows that, but I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I was the same. I didn't know it's good. You've got Syria, you've got Israel not far from here. You've got so many countries surrounding Turkey, and obviously a lot of them are in trouble. Do you know what I mean? So when we play, for example, Gaziantep, we're an hour from the Syrian border. Do you know what I mean? So that's a different experience. Like it's a very empty city, I would say. Do you know what I mean? It's a weird feeling there, Maybe not for the locals, but for me coming from London to there, it was different. Yeah, very much like you see in the news. It was, different experience. So yeah, similar to you, I kind of figured it out once I got here. I just assumed, like Tom just said, then sunny Turkey. Like that's what everyone's picture is of a holiday destination. Yeah, in parts, but that's certainly not everywhere.
Mate,
how was with the coronavirus and lockdown and stuff? How have things been there?
You know what? Similar to back home at the moment. So Monday to Friday, we're on a lockdown from 8 p.m. So everyone's got to be inside. All the shops are closed, etc. And then on the weekend, full lockdown as well. So it's a bit puzzling for a lot of us that obviously Corona picks and chooses its hours to come alive. But it's just is what it is, really. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're all dealing with it. There's a lot of people a lot worse off than I am right now. So trying to keep engaged with as many people as I can. Zoom's been great for that, especially back home. I know a lot of people that are struggling. So as I'm sure we'll touch on later, like the mental health side of things, like that's been key during this period to one, share my experience with people, and obviously two, help myself. Do you know what I mean? Like, by helping others, I help myself, and during these times I need that. I'm away from my son. we've been over here for 2 years now, and Corona's been a part of my life for 11 months. So yeah, it's different.
Mate, Stephen, we've had a number of footballers on the podcast. We're lucky enough, like Jamie Carragher and a few others, and I'm always fascinated about, you know, the early, you know, growing up and that sort of thing, and obviously just basically is obviously an interest in football of how you guys suddenly, you know, literally just pick up and move families and everything, and all the stuff that goes along with that as well. So when you grew up in London, didn't you? And you played for Tottenham youth team, if I'm right, yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you always? It sounds like a stupid question, but I presume you'd always have an interest in football, and that took you down that route ultimately. That, look, I want to play professional football.
Definitely, like from the age of 5, 6, I started playing football, fell in love with it. Brentford was my local team. I loved Arsenal. I grew up watching Thierry Henry. Just loved that era of football, Jimmy. It was amazing to watch. Wasn't very successful at it in terms of like a professional level. Was really good at Sunday League, but every time I went to a trial, I was so nervous and just couldn't compete. You know what I mean? Like I'd turn up in different kit to everybody else. I really felt like an outsider. Really struggled. And I had a few trials, got rejected from all of them, and then randomly got picked up for Tottenham at the age of 15. Took the wrong boots. I turned up in some studs, metal studs. I needed moulds to play in the Dome. I'd never played in the Dome before. Never played on this new 4G pitch at the time. I had to borrow the academy manager's boots, who was a size smaller than me at the time, I think. And just go out there and like just perform. You know what? That gave me the freedom just to be like, whatever, man. I think I had a Burger King on the way there. It was just completely off the cuff. There was no like nights before thinking about it. It was just like, just turn up and play. And that helped, that worked. I got signed after 2 sessions. So that was great. And then, yeah, things picked up pretty quickly. And I was lucky to be around some amazing players, youth team players and first team players as well. So I had a really good sort of, you know, start, I guess, starting at Tottenham.
Did you find when you were, because I loved Sunday League, I had trials at Liverpool Academy when I was a kid, but for me, I always remember thinking I was good in Sunday League, and then I turned up at the academy, and I was like, "Fuck me, this is like another level."
Yeah,
did you find yourself out of place, or did you just feel, "No, this is, I can hold my own"?
No, definitely, man. I definitely felt out of place. Like I always thought I was a midfielder as well, so I used to play centre mid, and then at academy level, technically, you know, these kids are, well, not kids, but these guys who've been in the academy for 10, 11 years, technically were just insane. Do you know what I mean? And I had a raw ability, and I had passion, and I had hunger, and all of that, and athleticism. But technically, yeah, I was miles behind. Do you know what I mean? You had centre halves doing way better than I could do in midfield, and that's how I ended up sort of changing back. Actually, by the time I got my trial at Tottenham, I just moved to centre half for one game for the county, Middlesex County at the time, and it all just kind of kick-started from there, really. But definitely felt a bit less than, you know, looking back now, as I said, I'll touch on there about the mental health sort of things. It was there. Do you know what I mean? It was there from a kid, that sort of like shyness, the sort of embarrassment, and people, you know, who know me will be like, "What? Like, you're never like low on confidence or anything." It's because I'm 6'4" and come across like big character and everything, but I was shy. Do you know what I mean? Like deep down, I was shy, and I used to be incredibly nervous on the trials.
And Andy's done a, sorry to interrupt then, you've done a talk, haven't you, Andy, at Man City about at the academy, and it was all about the amount of like preparing those, well, you call them kids, I suppose, for life after football, because the majority of them are just not going to make it at all. And I mean, did that ever go through your head, that having that self-doubt, and because so many people just, you know, go to the academy and just do not make it at all?
But the numbers are astonishing. Do you know what I mean? Of people who'd been in the academy from the age of 5, 6, or 7, and at the age of 16 don't even get a scholarship. Do you know what I mean? Then you've got those who get a scholarship and then turned away. Arguably, it's even worse. You know what I mean? Because if they turn you away at the age of 16, you have a chance to go to college or whatever else. When they turn you away at 18, 19, 20, 21, it's a real struggle. Do you know what I mean? To go back into real life. And one thing that people don't really speak too much about is that I feel like as a kid growing up, right, especially like you just said about Liverpool, like everyone in your family will know, like you're the one like who they put their hopes on. You're the player who's associated with Tottenham, associated with Liverpool. Like you're going to be the superstar, and like dealing with that embarrassment when you're sort of like turned away, rejected. Basically, that's how you feel.
Yeah,
Do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
I'm sure it's not an out and out rejection, but that's how you feel. That's definitely how you interpret it. And I know many players who still struggle today. Actually, I'm still in touch with nearly all of the boys from Tottenham youth team. It's an amazing youth team, and God knows how many of us went on to play Premier League, national level. An incredible team, but so many of the guys haven't. And some of them turn out to be Uber drivers. Some of them are in labour, and it's all sort of varies and stuff like that. But they definitely struggle to find their path. And for me personally, was it a concern? I don't know. Definitely for my parents. My mum, I remember telling me before I'd got that trial at Tottenham, look, you're 15. Like you're gonna have to really sort of knuckle down and decide what you want to do. I want to be a footballer. No, you need to sort of decide what you want to do now. Look, you need to think about GCSEs. Think about, no, I want to be a footballer. That was all that was in my mind that I wanted to be, and I was very consistent with that. But others were more concerned than me, I guess. I don't know. I mean, I wouldn't say I was so full of confidence or self-belief. I think it was partly just at that age, you're not even thinking that far ahead. I wasn't anyway.
I think the clubs are doing a lot more now, aren't they? Certainly, Academy is doing a lot more for.
Saying that, but what you're saying they're doing a lot more. Not expecting you to have the answer here, Stephen. But what would you say needs to be done? Because I've worked with Liverpool, Man City, and even England at under 18 level, and I always thought if you're playing for England under 18, surely you've got a career in the game, and yet there's still lads who are playing on England 18s and are not making a career in the game. Now they are doing more. Like, I know guys at Man City and Liverpool, they are doing a lot more. But what else could be done? I mean, because if you're not good enough, then you're not good enough. I guess it's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a fascinating subject. I had a teammate from my youth team who also suffered with addiction and reached out to me at the start of last year, suffering with it, and he'd seen my newspaper article, whatever else, and he's sober today, amazingly, and he's had such a good recovery program, right? And I've had many in-depth conversations about this with him, because what better example? Someone who never quite made it, but spent so many years investing into football, right? And then had that massive void at the end of it. So I had a conversation with him, and then I had a conversation with our academy manager. And the academy manager, off the back of this conversation, said, I feel really bad. And I was I was curious to hear what he said. He said, I felt like maybe I should have turned him away at 16. Maybe I made a wrong decision there to give him that chance to 18. Not sure whether he's going to make the cut. I found a really interesting perspective, because I was always thinking he was going to say the opposite. I wish I should have continued to sign him. But it was actually the other way. I think actually I probably could have cut him a little bit earlier when I was unsure whether he'd make it. What a difficult job for these guys, First and foremost, what a difficult job to decide at the age of 16 whether someone's good enough to make it or not. It's a very hard call. People progress late and develop late. So it's a hard call. It's a really good question you've asked me. But I would just say one thing I always believe in today is just having, I don't know what you have in place. I think it's step by step, but that emotional care, that's what I feel like is really lacking, especially in football, that emotional care. So if a player is struggling at the age of 15, 16, 17 to perform, is ever that question, why? Do you know what I mean? People are asking why, what's going on for you? Do you mean? Because I don't remember ever really being asked that question. I still haven't been asked that question. I'm 29 today. I never get asked why, what's going on, it's always just, you're not good enough, next player coming in. Do you know what I mean? And I kind of vocalise that a lot to players, to coaches now. I see a lot of players who are young, are on the sidelines, that are feeling down. Who's there to put their arm around them? I feel like football really lacks in that area, just the honesty, the transparency, and just that emotional intelligence to actually chat with a child and tell them. Because look, I don't know what can come of it. Like I said, it's not. I don't think it's a one-thing answer. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a step-by-step process, but I think we could definitely do a lot more to communicate with the guys who are struggling and help them some way. Which is my opinion.
I always think it was the guy who gets me at Man City. He's a great guy. His name's Jim, and it's such a hard job. So I come in and I tell my story about being in the Marines, getting blown up in Afghanistan, and then all of a sudden my whole life's turned around. And I try and relay it to the lads and saying, you could be playing football 2 years' time, you could be stacking shelves in Tesco's, you don't know. But you're asking on one hand, you're asking them to be so determined and so driven, and be tunnel vision to think they're going to be a footballer. Then at the same time say, by the way, this might not work out. It's so hard to try and gauge that kind of keep the fire.
I'm 100% with you. Yeah, I'm 100% with you. That's why I say I don't think there's one specific answer. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a process of things. I think it's conversations like this where we can move forward as a nation, definitely as an industry. Do you know what I mean? Because, also your industry, like I just mentioned there, like, were you prepared for that? I don't think anyone could be prepared to that. I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but,
No, totally, mate. That's why I was so excited as well to get you on, because we've had a few professional sportsmen on the podcast, and I think there's such a big link between professional sports and the military, in the sense of that, you're so structured, you're in a routine. Especially in the Marines, it's only men, so it's very male dominated, and I just think there's so many crossovers with boxing, with football, of that life, and then suddenly if it gets taken away from you, it's like, what do you do now type thing. But did I read as well that you were a decent runner as well? Did you have to kind of make a bit of a choice to go down the football route?
Yeah. I was doing 800 meters at the time, so I was actually just laughing with. Was that one of your distances, yeah?
I said it's a horrible distance. It's
it's a horrible distance. Yeah, it was. I was actually just laughing with my agent about your time. I just said there. I just had a look at your Instagram, and I said, "Flipping out!" I said he runs quicker than me. Do you know what I mean? I've got 2 legs. I was literally just saying that then. Like, that's mad. But yeah, I did 800 meters. I did it in a fairly decent time for my age. But when I went to national trials, I was a little bit off it, and I felt just again extremely nervous. I was so nervous before a race, like physically sick. I couldn't deal with it. I don't know what it was. So the choice was simple for me. Like, I wanted to be a footballer. Do you know what I mean? It was like there was no real decision to make. Although, yeah, I was talented, and potentially if I pursued it, who knows where I could have ended up. But when I went to national level, I was a little bit out. I mean, I didn't make the qualifying time to be in the national team. So it was an easy decision to make. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
How long were you at Tottenham for, Stephen, then?
Well, I was there between 15 and 17, and then I went on trial at Yeovil. Amazing experience, League One. Would highly recommend it to any youngster, do you know what I mean, who's sitting around doing nothing, quite way after first team. Loan was just amazing, do you know what I mean, to go and play with people who fight to pay their mortgages, people who fight for their jobs, all of that, the real world, basically, do you know what I mean, especially at, like, League One, like, it's the real world, do you know what I mean, you're not on mega money there, like, real good guys. Did that for 1 year, went to the Championship the next year, Bristol City, and the following year was in the Prem with Swansea. So it'd been like a 3-year period away from Tottenham, and then I went back, and it was amazing. I went back with 99 league games under my belt, and I was still treated like a kid. Do you know what I mean? I went back there, and it was still very much like, you're an academy boy, wait, be patient, and all of that stuff. And it was difficult for me to sort of get accustomed to being back at Spurs and gone from like a Premier League player on the brink of England at the time to then sort of, I'd even played in the Olympics actually. I played in the Olympics and then went back to Spurs, and yeah, it was difficult. It was a difficult time to adapt, and yeah, I'd spent 1 year there, and then I was like, I want to leave. I want to play regular football. I was stupid. Do you know what I mean? I look back now, and I was so like narrow-minded. Do you know what I mean? Like there's so much of that. Like you asked me before about, was I thinking about anything else? If I wasn't going to make it as a footballer? No, because I was so like narrow-minded. Like, I want to play every game, want to be the best, want to do this, want to do that. And I took a chance to go to Cardiff. Yeah, it took me to where I am today. Do you know what I mean? Full of ups and downs. But yeah, I was at Tottenham in total for about 3 or 4 years.
On the point when you went out on loan as well, we had Kev Ellison on. I think he might be the oldest footballer now, and he talks about when he had lads from like Liverpool and Man United, young lads coming on loan, and they turn up in the flash cars, and like you say, there's lads there making a wage. What was it like? Did you maybe, I don't know, turn up a bit of an attitude and you quickly got put in your place, or did you see that around, or did you have to kind of? Because I can just, you come up from a Premier League club, and like you say to guys who are maybe just normal lives, it's a big change for everyone, isn't it?
It is. I could definitely relate to seeing that in other people. I never felt I had that at the time. I mean, because I never grew up particularly wealthy. Do you know what I mean? I was always all right, but wasn't by any means rich. I mean, so was fairly humble in that sense. And I'd only been at Tottenham for like 2 years, do you know what I mean? So I still felt very much like one of the boys, do you know what I mean? I've always sort of felt like that. But I definitely saw it in other players since then, do you know what I mean? When they turn up with the flashy cars and the watch and all of that, and they get smashed in the first session, do you know what I mean? Like one of the older boys will just smash them, do you know what I mean? And it's sort of like a bit of a rude awakening, do you know what I mean? Like at that level, you know, they got you up, you're singing your initiation song, do you know what I mean? It's quite brutal, it's quite intense, do you know what I mean? But I'll be honest, I loved it. I loved all three of my loan spells. When I went back to Tottenham, it was all a bit more serious. Do you know what I mean? When you get to that next sort of level, things start to change. You've got a lot more foreign players. You've got a lot more players with ego. You know what as well? Also, a lot of famous people I've come across, very, very quiet. Man. Do you know what I mean? Very, very quiet. Like, not often speaking too much because they're just constantly hounded by the press and by people. It's like football's almost just like a safe haven for them to be quite chilled. Whereas in like the lower levels, the banner was flying, do you know what I mean? We had a lot more freedom. So it was quite a big transition, to tell you the truth, from like a Swansea to a Tottenham. Definitely at the time, maybe now it's a bit different. It's kind of all becoming more professional, isn't it? But you're going back 9-10 years ago, do you know what I mean? So it's different.
What's your opinion as well on kind of initiation ceremonies? Because in the Marines, I probably couldn't even talk too much about them on here. Some of the things that they have you doing, it's fucking horrendous, to be honest. But
Yeah.
I think some people would call it bullying. You know, other people would call it character building, I guess. But either way, it can be pretty brutal. And I loved it. It was all part of, you know, the Royal Marines have been around for over 350 years, and everyone's done an initiation ceremony. It's called a join and run, and you know it's horrible. It's 2 hours of embarrassment. You're usually naked and pissed as a fart and getting just humiliated. But then once it's done, you're welcome to the company, and then that's that. You know, I know nowadays, just with the way the world is, I'm guessing they've been watered down quite a bit. But was you kind of a big believer in it's good to kind of, you know, embarrass the new lads and, you know, and all that, or is it, you know, what's your kind of view on them?
Do you know what? I enjoy them, man. Do you know what I mean? It wasn't as like intense as your one, definitely. Do you know what I mean? It's just kind of like get up there, get your song done. Often in a restaurant. My worst one, it was on. Still is on YouTube. Do you know what I mean? I don't know why I'm telling you that, but it was horrific.
Pausing the pod now and going on YouTube.
It was horrific. Me and Rio Ferdinand did it the same day at QPR, and obviously with his name associated with it. Do you know what I mean? It was like bang, it was a hit, and oh man, it was brutal. I don't know. It was definitely my worst one. Just awkward. Aside from that, it's always been all right. Do you know what I mean? Just got up and sang. But that day, I just felt so uncomfortable. I was in a restaurant in Germany or Italy or wherever it was at the time, and it was embarrassing. Yeah, definitely. I actually feel a bit red now just thinking about it. Yeah.
You know, when you go to a new club, and it sounds like a stupid question, but I mean, does it really feel like your first day at school? As in, like, you just don't know anyone, you don't know, like, you know, you don't know the sort of like regiment, if you like, and it's all very Yeah, I could
definitely, you know, look back and think there were definitely occasions like that. I felt like a school kid. Do you know what I mean? Turning up. As I said, like, I'm kind of like got sort of like two sides to me. Do you know what I mean? There's the side, like I said earlier, that's confident, that's big, that could be aggressive and all of that, like on the pitch, and want to be, you know, a big character. And then there's the other side when I said it's really shy. And definitely when I go to a new club, I always feel that need to prove myself. Do you know what I mean? So as soon as I'm in training, I'm like, I've got to prove myself, got to prove my worth, got to prove why they've signed me. And, you know, looking back now, it's like, there's no need for that. Do you know what I mean? Like, they've signed you because they think you're good enough. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's why they've signed you. And I mean, I'll give you an example. This is like some of the thinking that goes on inside my head is that over here now, you've got Remy, Demba Ba, we had Adebayor last year, Robinho, quite a few big names, right, who played in the Prem. And every time I see one of them, yeah, I don't say anything to them because I don't think they're going to know who I am. Do you know what I mean? Like, they don't know who I am. Like, even I've played against them 4 or 5 times, no clue. Do you know what I mean? Every single one of them's always like, "Oh, Stephen, how you doing? You're all right? How's it been? I haven't seen you for a while." And I'm always a bit like, "Oh yeah," you know what I mean? I feel like they're superior to me. Do you know what I mean? It's all to do with my self-worth. Again, coincides with a lot of, you know, the mental health issues I suffered with, but that's how I've always seen it. So yeah, when I went to QPR, when I went to Tottenham, whatever, I always felt a bit less than. So I did feel like I was new to school, and took a little while to get comfortable with the boys, and then I mean I changed club every year. Do you know what I mean? Every single season I changed clubs, so I was always moving and adapting.
And Stephen, when you were at Yeovil, did any of this, like, did any of the, you know, the depression, I know the drinking came, was that like spewing around at that time period, or did that come a lot later?
The gambling was present. So the gambling was very much a part of my life from the age of 14, 15, maybe even younger, to be fair. I was always gambling at school, penny up the wall. Don't know if you guys know that game, you're familiar with it up north. But yeah, penny up the wall was a big one. Was always playing that. Then I went to the bookies machines and whatever else, do you know what I mean? And then it started in casinos, etc. So yeah, I was always a gambler from a young age, but the depression wasn't there. Depression certainly wasn't there. I was just so excited around the football, do you know what I mean? And my losses weren't as big then, do you know what I mean? Addictions gradually get worse, or quite rapidly get worse, actually. And so when I was younger, it wasn't so big. I checked into rehab at 19, and I remember just being like, nah, there's no way I'm doing these anonymous meetings the rest of my life, once or twice a week, no chance. Do you know what I mean? Didn't want it at all. I remember actually being there, right, and there was the Alcoholics Anonymous down the corridor, and thinking, thank fuck, I'm not one of them. Do you know what I mean? Because I definitely don't want to give that part of my life up. And then a few years later, I'm sat in that room as well. Do you know what I mean? It was like, I didn't know at the time, but I just suffered with addiction. You know what I mean? That I had a massive void inside me. And I was just looking to fill it with whatever I could, starting with football. You know, football, you asked me, when did I start playing? 5 or 6. Do you know what I mean? What better way to escape than playing football all day?
Well, at 19, Stephen, had someone said something to you, like, you need to sort yourself out, or was it an internal thing of, I need to sort something out here?
It's an internal thing.
Right.
I was just laughing. I'm thinking, at that point, I'd borrowed crazy sums off my agent and done that. I'd done all the money I was earning at the time at Swansea in the Prem. I'm laughing because I'm saying, like, it was pretty fucking obvious, do you know what I mean, that I've got a problem, do you know what I mean, to anyone around me. And I knew I was injured at the time.
I know with gambling though, Stephen, it's what they say, don't they? It's probably the worst one to have in some ways, because you can hide it. You know, I've done it myself, and I've been bad gambling and, you know, lost X amount of grand, and it's not as if you're drunk or you're high on drugs. You might be in a bad mood, but you can mask it. I mean, so was it obvious to people around you that you were gambling, you know, large sums of money?
My moods were obvious, do you know what I mean? That was the one I would say is so key. Like, I mean, the low, I mean, if you gambled yourself, you know, the low after a heavy loss, man, is indescribable. I was really, really low after every loss. And the only way to fix that low was to chase. Well, that's what I believed, do you know what I mean? I want to chase it. That took me out of that low, and that brought me back into hope. So that, hence why I was borrowing off my agent but I took money of anyone and everyone. Do you know what I mean? To say the truth, I took money of anyone and everyone. That was where I was at. You know, wherever way I could get access to money to continue chasing, to get back them losses. That's what it was all about for me. People talk about everyone will say, "Oh, you had so much money as a youngster. That's probably why." Like, and I'm like, you know what? It's got absolutely nothing to do with it. To be honest with you, what it did do was it allowed me to play high stakes, and I would say the fame of football brought me to my knees quicker, because I was exposed quite a lot in the paper for the drink mostly, and there was no hiding place for me. Do you know what I mean? So I could hide with the gambling for a certain amount of years, but then once the drink kicked in, there was no hiding it. Do you know what I mean? I would turn up drunk to training, or wouldn't turn up at all. Do you know what I mean? I was in a bad way.
It's so interesting you say about the gambling. Like, I started gambling when I was at the same, like 14, 15. And, you know, it goes up and up and up. And I think for me, one of the toughest things when I was really bad gambling at a point, it wasn't even the wins or the losses. It was the ego to think that the bookies are ahead. You know, they've got my money. You know, I need to get that back. And I always used to think to myself, you know, I had a number in my head of how much I'd lost. And I think once I get to that and I'm even, then I'll stop betting then. But it's that thing saying I'm not having. It's like you're in a fight. I'm not letting them get the better of me. Once I'm even, then I'm okay.
Yeah, that was that was my story in a nutshell. Do you know what I mean? It was never about this win and that win. So I know that some people that are like, oh, I've won and I brought this and I brought that. I'm like, that's never been me. Do you know what I mean? Whatever I won was always just calculated. Right, I've now lost X amount. If I could just get that bit back, I was constantly in a battle to win back the money, to be even. You know what? Like I says to people, like say like in a game of football, you lose the game on Saturday, right? I go home, I'm distraught, absolute distraught. Like I feel it on so intense. My emotions are so intense, right? If I got offered another 90 minutes, right, to win that game, I would continue to play it. If I got offered another 90 after that, I would continue to play it. That's my mentality. I would continuously battle to win. So with the casino, when I lost my money, and if you compare it to the 90 minutes, and I had another, I could reload for another 90 minutes, I would go again. Do you mean and go again and go again? And I was never satisfied. You know, I was chasing losses from the age of 15. I was never up. I was always chasing losses, and it wasn't until I surrendered, actually. Do you know what? The true strength for me today is in surrendering. It is in vulnerability. Do you know what I mean? It's in holding my hands up and going, I've got a problem. I'm going to accept X, Y, and Z. Accepting it was when the real freedom came. Do you know what I mean? Because I wouldn't be 2 and a bit years sober or clean from gambling if I hadn't accepted it. You know what I mean? The casinos won. Do you know what I mean? They won. They didn't just take my money. They took my time. They took my sanity. They nearly took my career. Do you know what I mean? It's a lot more than money that people lose, unfortunately, when gambling.
And you've got that other added pressure as well, Stephen, is that, you know, if Andy's, or even myself, to take me as an example, you know, I'm not in the public limelight one iota. So it's easy for me to then decide to check myself into somewhere and not have that thinking that, or potentially, you know, even if my employer finds out, it's not that bad. But then if newspapers find out, and then that other thing, and then social media, and, you know, what everyone thinks of you, that other added layer that, you know, that you must have, you know, be difficult as well.
Definitely. 100%. As a youngster, that's the way I thought. I just thought, this is embarrassing. I don't want people to know about this. It was definitely a stigma. I mean, it still is, but it certainly was even more so as a youngster. I had, it's an anonymous program, so I won't say the names, but I had a key figure at my time in Swansea who was great to me. A couple other people who were great, do you know what I mean? Who were in the public eye, who were like, you know, basically just like, listen, I'll take you through it. Because when I look back now, it's like, if you see someone in rehab, or you see someone in the meetings, the anonymous meetings, they're in there because they've got the same problem as you. Do you know what I mean? They're not going to be in there saying, oh, I can't believe he's here. You know, we're in it together. And it's an unbelievable feeling of togetherness, actually. It's probably the only place for me. I don't know I'm not sure if you've experienced it, Andy. You said before about some issues. I don't know if you experienced the meetings, but for me, if you haven't, or those who haven't, who are listening, it's like, it's a place where you can go where an A-lister can be there, a lawyer can be there, a homeless guy, a footballer, anyone from any walk of life, right, with zero education or all the education in the world, right, and everyone's just one. Do you know what I mean? There's no levels in there. There's no, oh, he's famous. It's everyone's together, and probably the only place out there, that and church. Where else can you have that sort of togetherness where people come together and you're hugging, and it's truly freeing. But it took me many years to accept that I was part of that. You know, I definitely felt like I was hiding myself because no one really in that room. No one just cares about getting well. No one cares about who you are or what you're doing.
I think, mate, you've hit the nail on the head. It takes a bigger man to kind of say, like, yeah, the casino, you win. You know, drink, you win. I'm going to surrender myself. Because even when I was contemplating kind of getting help and stuff, my ego was kind of saying, you know, now you're a motivational speaker. It's your job to go motivate people, inspire people. You cannot go and check yourself in saying you've got a problem, because you're meant to be this motivational speaker, and it's your ego a lot of the time, isn't it, that stops you from surrendering to your problems and saying, look, I need help. So fair play, mate. It's obviously, and I think it's great for you as well, for someone who is in the public eye, for people to hear you saying it and know what you've been through. Because let's face it, if you can do it, then it's giving hope that someone in your position, if they can do it, then anyone can.
The egos. Sorry, I was just going to say, sorry, who did I cut off there? I'm not sure.
Yeah, no, sorry, yeah.
No, so I was just going to say about the ego. The ego is amazing. When I first got told about the ego, I was like, nah, like, I don't wear a watch in the car. And like you spoke about, when I turned up at Yeovil, I was like, I'm not that guy. Like, I'm humble, like just driving. It was an old A3 at the time, and I know I haven't got that kind of flash lifestyle, which means I thought that was the ego. But when I peeled back the layers of the ego, I was like, wow, I've got a huge ego. You know what I mean? The ego for me was not being able to listen to anybody else. That was guaranteed. Do you know what I mean? There was nobody who could tell me anything, all of that kind of stuff. And after I peeled back layer after layer, the ego is like what you just said, that ego, you believe I'm not going to accept defeat, and that was a struggle. But looking back now, that was where the power was. That was where the true freedom was. So definitely, yeah.
One thing I just wanted to quickly say is that I saw, it was a while ago actually, that the lady who's the chief, I mean, this shows you how much money there is in gambling. The lady of the chief exec of Bet365 is a lady called Denise Coates. And in 2019, I think she paid herself $427 million US. She was the highest paid. She was the highest paid chief exec. Yeah, I mean that just fucking, it's insane the amount of money that must flow through these gambling.
Well, Stephen, as well. What are your thoughts? I've seen it on Twitter a little bit actually last week. What are your thoughts on the football clubs? You know, with the gambling sponsors. I've seen Arsenal tweet out the other day about saying, you know, gave a stat and said, like, you know, our last few home games we won 2-0. Prices to like 6-1 tonight. Yeah. You know, what are your thoughts on that?
It's so complex. It's so difficult because you've got to look at it and go, well, these companies, right, are paying mega money to these clubs for a reason. Yeah, do you know what I mean? I'm no marketing expert, but it's fairly obvious that if these companies are paying mega money, it's because they see it coming back to them. I did an interview with BBC, and the guy said to me, I think it was over 80% of money that these companies are taking are from only like 3% of the customers. You don't quote me on that. I'll have to check it out and send it to you over later on. But the stat was insane, right? Around mental. Those figures. So when they're putting this stuff out there, they'll obviously say they're putting it out there for the average punter or whatever. And the average guy can have a bet. You know, we could put a 5 or a 10 or whatever it is on who to score first or whatever it be. And that could be a social thing. But for those who aren't, that's sort of like 3% or whatever the percentage is, who are continuously putting the money in. It's a real struggle, and it's everywhere in football. It's absolutely everywhere. I mean, everywhere you look at half time, you've got Winston, whatever his name is, pop up and speak about it. Talk about, oh yeah, this person to score next, and it's in your face. So those who are trying to break away from it, it's so hard. But it's not just that. I mean, the reason why I say it's so complex is that it's not just that. You know, first of all, it's the issues inside us as individuals, those who are addicted to it. But secondly, I get text messages, I get emails. I've blocked myself from everywhere in the UK. I did that years ago. Gave my parents my bank cards, blocked myself from everywhere. I still get text messages from numbers you can't block. Right? How is that? How are these casinos still able to send you messages to reel you in with a free £400 deposit or this or whatever? Do you know what I mean? To try and entice you, because they know I could place one bet and that's me up and running. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't matter how much it is, that would be me up and running. And they feed on that. They prey on the weak. It's a really, for me, a disgusting business. But then that's how these clubs pay players' wages and whatever else. Do you know what I mean? So, look, again, it's not just like I think there's just one answer for it. But I think I'm really pleased to see that it's being highlighted and people are working towards change. Do you know what I mean? Because I think that's what people want to see, is the intention to change. People recognize that, look, this is costing people's lives. Do you know what I mean? So many people are taking their lives. And a friend yesterday, it's just been kicked out of his house. Do you know what I mean? Because of the gambling. Literally, he was on the street yesterday. Where can I stay? Where can I go? And, you know, I'm on the phone, sort that. Like, that's how real it is. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's real. I don't know whether people are fully aware of that, but it's real. You know what I mean? It's happening. It's really affecting people.
Was your problem even with casinos, was it? Or, because I know the big problem now is just whether it's horse racing or football, the fact that it's on your mobile. It's literally, you know, I think one thing that could stop people is the betting shops aren't open, whereas now, you know, you could be betting on, you could wake up in the morning and bet on Australian greyhounds at 6 o'clock in the morning in the UK because it's on your phone.
Yeah. And they introduced virtual racing as well to make sure it's basically round the clock. It's every 15, 30 seconds, whatever it is. There's a race of some sort. So, yeah, I mean, look, they're smart. They know what they're doing. I said they invest millions into their marketing and their ways of gaming. But Yeah, my thing was casino. I loved the casino. That was sort of my escape, if you like. Do you mean where I could go and no one's going to bother you, and it's just complete oblivion for me. It's just complete oblivion. And what happened was, I mean, to give you a little insight to my story, is that I started from the bookies and then led to casinos, and that's where I sort of found my place, if you like. That's where I really came alive when I was in there. And I banned myself from all the casinos in the UK at the age of 22, 23. It was like, I had to stop. Like, I'm gone here. Do you know what I mean? I'm blowing 110% of what I earn. Do you know what I mean? I'm gone. Like, this is not right. I barred myself from all the casinos, the local bookies, etc. I would just find a way. I would go online, then bar myself from online. Then I could start getting invitations to go to Cyprus. Do you know what I mean? People are messaging me, look, we can get you to this casino in Cyprus, pay business class flights for you and your boys. It's 5-star hotel. Yeah, do you know what I mean? Like, they even give you a large sum of money to come and play. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, so you're talking five figures introduction. Do you know what I mean? Come play. If you want to play, listen, they know. Do you know what I mean? It's like, they know there's no pressure to play. Just come with your friends, enjoy the holiday. I went there, I don't know, maybe 10 times. I flew home after 24 hours every time, because that's how quickly I did my money. Do you know what I mean? I'd go there, take all the credit they would give me, take all my money, blow it all. Do you know what I mean? And come back, and my parents, who have had my bank card since 19, bless them, being like, how have you lost that money? You're banned from here, you're banned from there, we've got your bank cards. How these places take checks, they're taking everything. Do you know what I mean? Any way possible. They know. Do you know what I mean? So they know what you struggle with. Do you know what I mean? And they counteract it. They make it as easy as possible for you. Monaco's the same, Singapore's the same. Been around the world, man. I've been around the world doing it. And the saddest thing when I sit here today is the time. You know what I mean? The time I wasted doing these things, and I always had an understanding of money. This is what blows most people's mind, especially those who know me or get to know me. They're like, I can't even buy myself a new pair of trainers. Do you know what I mean? It's a real struggle for me. Like, I don't want to waste that money. Like, I don't want to. Like, that's how I see it, as a waste of money. Yeah, and the casino would take all my money, right? And it's so weird that I have such a value of money, as I didn't come from a particularly rich home or whatever, and I understand it, but yet there's another part of this brain that is illogical, and it took me a while to accept it's an illness. It took me a long time to accept it, but yeah, just to give you guys an insight, that's the sort of levels it was at. As I said, unfortunately, I'm not the only one. There's many people out there, getting enticed by the same treatment.
I don't know if you've ever watched the Louis Theroux documentary where there was a Canadian guy called Mattress Man, and they went over to obviously Vegas. Louis Theroux was filming. This was done like 2004 or something like that. And this guy was like you just mentioned, flying off to Cyprus. He'd lost that much money with the casino. They comped everything for him. I think it was a Red Rock casino. I think it was. They'd comped the best suite. I think they even gave him some money to just spend on shopping. Just this madness that, I mean, it's not something to laugh at, but it is quite funny the way that, to fly to fucking Cyprus to then try and it's just insane.
It is.
I thought I was not like, what's the word? I thought I was like big time. If you like, when I went to Vegas with my dad, and we must have gambled, and they gave us like a free breakfast the next morning.
Yeah, a free breakfast and a vodka Coke, and you're thinking, they love me, they treat me so good, and there's so many different levels, man. I said the maddest experience would have been in Singapore, the Grand Marina Hotel. Do you know what I mean? Everything, com suites, and you've almost. It just takes you into another escape, basically, into another world. Do you know what I mean? So my reality, my internal reality was hard to deal with. Do you know what I mean? I was struggling with stuff internally. My outside reality, I was living everybody's dream. Do you know what I mean? I was a footballer. I played in the Prem. I had a son, beautiful son. I had all I'd ever dreamed of. But internally, I was completely empty. There was such a huge void. And I was just trying to fill it with whatever I could, and these sort of trips just got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. But one thing I'll say, just to bring anyone who's listening down to reality, like them journeys home, man, I can't even explain to you just how suicidal. I was. I mean, them journeys home were just, wow, with the reality of how much money I'd done, who I now owed to casinos, this person, that person, sobering up on a 4 or 5 hour flight home. It just really, 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 really difficult times. And what was difficult was to obviously pick myself up from all of that, accept all of my losses, and start again. But it was only when I did that I started to learn about myself and who I was and why I did all of this. And yeah.
A couple of things on that, mate, before I just look at the football. You said before about obviously that's a business that, they try and lure you in, and that's the business, rightly or wrongly, that's how they make the money. How do you view the kind of the friendships that you've got? Maybe you've still got them, maybe you haven't no more. The guys that maybe were with you on those trips, was there a bit of you that now thinks, I wish you'd kind of told me, or would you have not listened? Would you? Or
well, I can tell you, I didn't listen to anybody, as I said at the start, with the ego, and I would literally be like wanting to fight people. Do you know what I mean? Because I would always say to someone, right, once I get to this figure, you keep hold of the money for me. Yeah, don't let me play anymore. And obviously, I'd give them the money, lose what I had, be grabbing them, give me that money back, be chasing them. Do you know what I mean? Because they'd be trying to run and say, no, keep it, and it was insane. But you know what I would say is that some people, I stepped away from. Absolutely, I felt like I needed to. And some people I've just taken a little step back from. We're still friends today. But what I would say is, a lot of the people that I surrounded myself with were just like me. Because I never felt judged by them. I never felt uncomfortable around them. Like I'm saying, I always felt less than around some footballers and whatever else. Around the guys I'm friends with, they're all like me. They had struggles, man. They were real guys. They were real people. They had their struggles with alcohol and gambling as well. And it made a bad combination. It made a really bad combination. But I knew there was always honest at heart. And that's important for me, to be around pure people. And what's been really nice, actually, is over the course of the last 2 years, getting myself clean, nearly all of them have done the same. Nearly all of them have just been like, not straight away, do you know what I mean? But have taken a step back and been like, if he could do it, I could do it, because definitely at the time I was one of the worst out there, do you know what I mean? And that's been nice, do you know what I mean? It's going on that journey with some people as well, and to watch. I said some people had to take a step back. At the start, there was a couple of people for the first 6 months said, look, man, I need to be alone. Like, I can't be around your energy. You're still in it. I don't judge you for it. I wish you well, do you know what I mean? But I just can't be in it because it's very toxic, you know what I mean? And if anyone here or anyone listening has got friends who are suffering with addiction, they'll know it's not just a spectator sport. Do you know what I mean? We're all in it. Do you know what I mean? We're all riding them waves with the addict themselves, and it's tough. It's tough on everybody.
Are you drinking heavily at this point as well during these gambling trips? And yeah, it would be completely off my head. Do you know what I mean? So I mean that's what sort of goes hand in hand for me. Where once I just really got a grip of the drink, which was around 22, it would go hand in hand. And I blacked out when I drank, so I had so many amends to do when I did the 12-step program. So many amends, man, flipping out. I had the list as long as my arm of people that I had to call to apologise for my behaviour. In football, outside of football, because I was just when I took a drink, the drink took me. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know after what drink it was, but I'd black out, and black out, for those who experience it, is one of the most scariest experiences. You know what I mean? I'll do it every week nearly, or every month, I should say, because I was a binge drinker. I wasn't a daily drinker. It would just be when I drink, I'll do it for 2 or 3 days, and the blackouts were brutal. So often when I say about these trips, I don't even remember them. I don't even remember them. Do you know what I mean? That's my reality. My memory of them is the plane home. Like I said, sobering up, realising what I've done, what I've lost, who I've texted. Madness. Yeah.
You know what? Mad to hear as well is, you're still playing elite level football. You're still playing. I think, the maddest thing about it. I mean, when you said there about when you left Spurs, was it for 8 million? Was it? I think, which was a record for Cardiff. So it's just crazy to think that you've got all that going on, these kind of demons, and yet Cardiff it's just spent 8 million quid on you. You're playing well for Spurs, and yet what was it that made you want to pull away from Spurs, just to get regular football, or was
Yeah,
it the challenge of
yeah, I wanted to play regular football. And like I said, my head was filled with madness, as you can imagine, with all that other stuff going on. I couldn't think clearly. Looking back now, would I have left Spurs? No. Do you know what I mean? I'd have stayed there and fought for my place. Do you know what I mean? And gained the experience from some amazing players there. But I wasn't.
You at that time, your potential as a young player. I've seen many coaches, like when I knew we were going to be chatting to you. So many top pros kind of had you down for like he's going to be one of the best defenders in the country.
Yeah.
Was you aware of that kind of, he's going to be up there?
Yeah, it keeps me up at night. To be fair, it keeps me up at night today. To tell you the truth, it's one of my biggest things. Do you know what I mean? It's why I work so hard today. Truly, like what ate me alive the most out of everything I've told you today, none of which really gets the headlines, but is my biggest thing is I didn't fulfill my potential. The unfulfilled potential just eats me alive. Do you know what I mean? So the ability that I had and the opportunities that I had, unbelievable opportunities at so many different clubs. I felt like I wasted them, because I was never truly there. Do you mean I was never truly there? I was never 100% there anyway, because my mind was dealing with other stuff. And I don't even know how I performed to the level I did. Do you know what I mean? I don't really know how I did, but after a while it caught up with me. You know what I mean? It catched up with everybody. Everybody I speak to, who I see have got a problem, and bless them when they can't get it, like myself for so many years. It's one of the worst things, just to speak to somebody who's like, I'm really struggling, but I chat to you. Yeah, sure, let's chat. You listen to them. They're nowhere near ready. It's brutal. They're going to have to go out there and have so much pain for the next 6 months, year, 2 years, however long it takes for them to fully surrender. And it's a horrible process, do you know what I mean? But unfortunately, you don't stop until you're ready, do you know what I mean? And it's as I said, going back to the unfulfilled potential, that's something 2.5, 3 years ago when I left QPR, I went to Dundee for a little period. And at the time I was living with my uncle. I'd lost my driving license. I'd taken a 97% pay cut to go there. Yeah. So you can imagine where I'm at mentally at this point, right? I just said to myself, like, there's something inside me that just was like, I'm going to come back, man. I don't know what it was. I just felt like I had a bigger purpose than just being another statistic. I always just felt like that. And I said, I'm going to come back. And it didn't quite work out at Dundee. I turned down an offer to go to Rosenborg at the time. Only 5 games in, I just believed, better things are going to come. And it didn't. But and then I spent 6 months on my own. Do you know what I mean? It's literally 6 months on my own training. I remember my old agent I was with at the time said, you're not going to last more than 6 weeks doing that. No one ever does. Do you know what I mean? Like, blah, blah. And I did it for 6 months solid, but I'd done it for the best part of 2 years. Yeah, minus that 3-month spell at Dundee. For 2 years, I was on my own training.
Just when you say on your own training, literally just like in a park.
Yeah, just literally in a park, in the woods. Used to go run in the woods. Used to go to goals, the five-a-side pitches and stuff like that. And, you talk about my friends, you asked about them earlier. These guys, some of them would come with me, man. Like, every morning would come with me, get up, say, let's go train together. And that's what I'm saying. Like, these people were pure at heart. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's almost like a movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, we actually would go there. I've got some videos that one day I will release, actually, when the time's right. And of just me training on the pitch on my own, and the school kids have got all the other pitches around me, and they're all just running around, and I'm just there like sweating, thinking, what am I doing? Because during this period, right, I got rejected by, I did the maths the other day, 70 different teams, man, in and around Europe, 70 different, even America. Do you know what I mean? 70 different teams were like, nah. Don't want you.
Because of your personal issues that you had going on, was it, or?
Well, I was clean at the time, but I'd done the article. Do you know what I mean? I did an article in 2017 speaking about my issues. And after that, yeah, my name was just completely tarnished. So I was always so keen to get in front of somebody. I got the chance to go to Mark Breda on trial. Pierre Van Hooijdonk, he was brilliant at the time. He said, come down. And I knew whenever I got the chance to go in front of someone, it would be okay. Do you know what I mean? I went there, they're like, now I did a fitness thing. They're like, how are you so fit? I've been training every day. And they're like, listen, we want to offer you a contract. And they offered me a deal at the time. I felt like I wanted somewhere different, so I waited. But nonetheless, it was like that was kind of it. Once I had that opportunity, I had a chance at Östersunds in Sweden as well. I think Ravel Morrison ended up there actually for a little bit. Again, met them, and anyone who met me and had a conversation would give me a chance. But honestly, 70 teams, man, 70 teams. I'd say 40 of them didn't even text me back. I was calling them personally. I was like, listen, I'm not even going to bother with the agent. Do you know what I mean? Like, I tried different agents, but I was like, I'm just going to do it myself. I felt like a man-to-man conversation would be best. But most people in football, man, they're not up for that. Do you know what I mean? That's the truth of the matter. They're not up for that. I think your world's different in the Marines to football. You said there's similarities. I'm sure there is, but I don't know. Maybe you tell me differently. But in the Marine world, I picture most men being accountable and being on the level. Football doesn't offer that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But when you are going from loan to loan, and you after QPR, with the managers and stuff, or like teammates, you kind of were aware of the problem, and that kind of added to the demise, and you're not fulfilling your potential, was it, or was you managing to keep everyone out?
No, at that point, everyone was aware of the issue. Some coaches tried to help me, to be fair. Do you know what I mean? Some coaches tried to help me, some didn't. I don't hold no grudges to any of them, really, because they did what they felt they needed to for the team. Do you know what I mean? And unfortunately, that's the way it is. Do you know what I mean? It's a multi-billion-pound business. They got to get results or they're out their job. So some of them went that extra bit. Do you know what I mean? The doctor at QPR was amazing. He really tried to help. But yeah, some guys, I said, it's a selfish industry. Do you know what I mean? You've kind of got to be in a way to be successful in it. I'd like to think I would do things slightly differently today, but every single one of them I called and made amends to. There's a couple of people still on the list who I haven't been able to get hold of for whatever reason. And I would still like to apologise to them, because I don't think any of it is their fault. Do you know what I mean? I take sole responsibility for it. It was okay. Today I believe it was an illness, but it was my illness. It wasn't theirs. Do you know what I mean? So it was for me to deal with, not other people.
We've got a huge amount of people, obviously, from Liverpool, and you were on loan for Liverpool, weren't you? What was that like?
Amazing experience, to be fair. I mean,
you were saying about, obviously, this is it's a massive problem you've got going on at the time in your personal life. I would have thought, knowing quite a lot of, I've got a season ticket at Liverpool and stuff. I know, quite a lot about football. As a fan, I would have thought that surely, for the reason that you just mentioned, Liverpool might not have wanted to take a chance on you. I mean, how did that even come about?
I have no idea. No idea. I remember putting out an Instagram post after my debut saying that if you'd have told me this time last week that I'm going to come on against Arsenal up front at Anfield, I would have said there would have been shorter odds to win the lottery. Do you know what I mean? Like that was the truth. I remember putting that Instagram post out the day after my debut, because it was just such a whirlwind. I don't know how it happened. To tell the truth, I don't know how it happened. I was at Southampton, wasn't playing. Liverpool needed a centre half. It was a very temporary thing, and they said come in, and I got the chance to work with Clark, which was an amazing experience. Unfortunately for me, I wasn't in the right place. So it's an amazing move on paper, but the best move would have been rehab, to be quite frank. Do you know what I mean? That would have been the best move. I needed to sort myself out. I wasn't able to go and do myself justice at Liverpool in training. And again, that's an example of what I mean. Like, I don't look back and go, I can't believe this coach did. No, like, as I said, it was on me. But to be around the boys, to be around that elite mentality, which is what it is, the likes of Liverpool, Tottenham, it's an elite mentality, was a really, really nice experience, and one that, for me, I learned from. I learned from it, and I apply parts of that to my life today.
Mm. What was it like being, because you were involved in the pretty dramatic game as well, wasn't you, the winner, when Lallana grabbed the winner?
Yeah, literally. I think I retweeted it the other day because they tagged me in it saying it was that day to the year, 5 years ago now, that it happened. So yeah, again, just incredible experience. Being involved. It was a whirlwind. You know what? To be honest with you, I'm trying to describe it, but it was a whirlwind, man. I was I was not in the team at Southampton. I was on the bench, and I got moved to Liverpool and was coming on up front. There's not really other ways to describe it. It was amazing. I got the one start as a centre half against West Ham, which was great. It was due to play the second leg because we drew that game, and it was a replay. It was due to play the second leg, and the day before, my back went into spasm. And I've not really suffered with many injuries, and especially like little injuries like that. I'm like, nah, that's not. I was not accepting of this at all. Do you know what I mean? And I was trying to play through it. And in the morning, I had to just go into training and tell Klopp that I couldn't play. And I remember the look he gave me was like disappointed. Do you know what I mean? Disappointed in me, and that hurt because I would have. Honestly, I was giving anything and everything to play. Like I remember calling everyone the night before who could get this back spasm. Like some things are just not meant to be. Do you know what I mean? It's one of those ones where I don't matter what tablets I was taking, it weren't settling down. And it was about 48 hours later, it settled down and it was completely fine. But by that time, I'd missed the game. And I think Coutinho scored a free kick at that game, but they ended up still losing or drawing or whatever. But we didn't go through. So that was that. Do you know what I mean? And yeah, it was a hard one to take at the time, but yeah, it's life.
I always think, mate, as a fan, mate, it must be so difficult for you knowing that you've got your own personal challenges. But as a professional, Liverpool. It's easy to say this now, but Liverpool are on this now trajectory where you think, this guy Klopp is taking them somewhere. Yeah, you're in this completely different place.
Yeah.
Did you get a feeling at the time that like you were almost passing ships? They're under Klopp, they're going one way, and sadly you were on the other.
100%. I'm not just saying this. I literally said to nearly everybody walking away from my spell at Liverpool that they're going to win the league in the next 3 years. I think it was 4 years that they did it in, but it was so clear to see. Do you know what I mean? That the path they were going on, the way he'd got them set up, the way they were working, the way they were pressing, and yeah, it was so abundantly clear for me to see. Listen, this is a winning team. Do you know what I mean? And the successes speak for itself. There's no luck involved with that. Do you know what I mean? I don't. There's always luck when it comes to the finals and all that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? There's always moments that go either way. But I'm talking like over the course of the season, especially like a league season, it's not lucky. Do you know what I mean? Like that started when I was there in 2016, that started from there. So, yeah, and I, unfortunately, at the time was look, I don't want to put like a negative spin on it. I was going the other direction, but it was where I was going to find myself again. Do you know what I mean? So it was almost a positive. Do you know what I mean? I had to go that way, but it was what I needed. So, looking back, all these little moments that happened and all these crazy moves to Liverpool and then the sadness of the injury, the highs and lows of football, what we all go through, the highs and lows of life, I believe today was shaping me to where I need to be.
It's like I always say, mate, in the motivational talks that I do, is that you never really know if something's a good or a bad thing until it's run its course.
Yeah.
It's the worst thing in the world. And then when you look back, like you just said, you think, what, I needed that to happen to me because I wouldn't have got all the benefits of later on. So, yeah, it's funny how life works out.
I agree.
Is it 3 years? Is it 3 or 2 years, Stephen, since you stopped drinking?
Just over 2 years.
2 years.
So I celebrated 2 years on December the 3rd. So 2 years, 2 months around that. So yeah, and you feel the demons are gone on your shoulders as such now, and you just focused on football now. Yeah. Yeah, so my recovery is a daily thing. I do the 12-step programs every day. So I do online meetings, maybe 4 or 5 times a week, connecting with people daily, writing a gratitude list in the morning, 10 things I'm grateful for, 5 things I don't miss about active addiction, my prayers. It's a constant thing. And the most beautiful thing of it is it's a program of like giving. So, my sponsor who took me through like the 12 steps, he, gave this gift to me and then I give it to others and we pass it on a daily basis. And life's still life. Do you know what I mean? Like since I've been over here, I lost a teammate in a car crash. Extremely sad, really difficult to deal with. We've had Corona, stuck here away from my son for however many months. And look, life's still been live. Lost the cup final and all of that. And I deal with it all. Do you know what I mean? I can deal with it today because I've got the tools to deal with it. Do you know what I mean? And I know I am. Back then, I'd get a parking ticket and be like, I can't believe my life. I can't believe my luck. How's this? Do you know what I mean? Like, today is like, you got a parking ticket because you didn't get the ticket for long enough. It's on you. Do you know what I mean? And I accept responsibility today and accountability for my actions. And making amends was very freeing. Do you know what I mean? It was definitely very freeing.
I can imagine how. I mean, I had a conversation with myself, the other day of, especially with Corona and pandemic. I feel like I've never drank more in my life. Like, I haven't got a problem. Like, I don't like hide vodka or anything like that. But I'll have like 3 or 4, beers when I'm cooking, and then I realize, shit, I've had that every single day, and like, I consider myself quite, I don't have any addictions. So if I'm going through that, then I dread to think what people who are stuck in their houses and, all the craziness that's going on with the pandemic of how, and Andy, you've said before, you struggled in last year, like really struggled.
Yeah. So funny what you said then, Stephen, about like a parking ticket and stuff. And again, when I was burying my head in the sand and stuff, like drinking and gambling and stuff, I'd get a parking ticket or something and then wouldn't pay it, just bury my head in the sand, wouldn't pay it. And then, like, I remember this one time, a debt collector come to my door and was like, like £500. I was like, from what? And he said, you went over like I think it was a bridge down in, is it the Dartford Bridge, I think it is, near London or something, like 3 years ago. And he said, they've been sending you letters for years, and I was just like, and I had such this victim mentality. Fucking hell, why have I got to pay this now? Fucking it. And, I was kicking off on the guy as if it was his fault. And he's like, listen, mate, it's, and I was like, fuck me, I need to, this is my fault. This is my bad admin. I've not seen a letter. I've not paid it. And it, mate, I 100% get what you mean. And I think that drinking, I think for me, it was never a point where the gambling was, it got really bad at one point, but it was never I thankfully managed to curb it. But for me, mate, it all just then went into one. It went into this victim mentality. Then the drinking, then went with the gambling, then went with the burying your head in the sand, and then it was everyone else's fault. And why is this happening to me? And I can, some of the things you say, mate, relate with it a lot. Just in that again, that victim mentality, rather than taking ownership of the situation and thinking it's your own fucking fault. You shouldn't have parked there, or you shouldn't have done this. And
did you have victim mentality when you got blown up? It's something that this interests me. Do you know what I mean? Like, because I always say this with a lot of like people in recovery, like, how would we deal with something like that? Do you know what I mean? Like, as I said, most of the stuff I created. Do you know what I mean? So the victim mentality is what I created with the parking tickets, etc. With something like what's happened to you, life's just hit you. I mean, you're not to blame for that. How did you feel like a victim in the moment?
No, I didn't. Mate, and I think I lost my mum when I was 12 as well. I always talk about that when I talk about getting blown up, because in a way, they're both similar things where, that's just life happening to me. My mum passed away when I was 12 and I got blown up when I was 20. And surprisingly, no, I didn't feel that victim mentality. I didn't really feel too sorry for myself and tried to look at the positives. But I think that only come because I had the experience of getting over the death of my mum. So that made it seem a little bit easier, maybe, getting blown up. The problem when I started kind of finding my problems and developing a victim mentality was when I had too much time on my hands. When I went from being in the Marines, being in this elite organisation, I had routine, I had structure, I was bringing value to my life and to other people, and then suddenly I was medically discharged, and I had this kind of weird amount of money where it wasn't enough money where I was going to go and live on a beach and drink pina coladas every day, but it was enough that I didn't have to get up and go to work at 6 a.m. So then if I went for a pint on a Sunday after the match, and then most people would go in, 7, 8 o'clock because they've got work the next day, I could stay out because I didn't have to work. And then when most people get up Monday morning because they've got work, I didn't have to. And then it just kind of turned into, well, I'm bored now and there's no footy on, I can gamble on the horses instead, or there's no horses, I'll gamble on the dogs. And then it's Wednesday, it's a Champions League match, I'll have another drink tonight. And then I think my gambling always got worse when I started to drink. And then that's when the victim mentality came in then, because I thought, fucking hell, this is my bad luck, and, this is, but it didn't really come, I don't think, from getting blown up. It was more when I was medically discharged, then I was kind of left to my own devices then. That was the big thing for me.
Because it sounds like to me, like I'm just making assumptions here, I guess, but you know, like in terms of purpose, you know, when you was young, you had the purpose. When you was in the Marine, you had a purpose. Do you know what I mean? You knew what, you had a structure to your day. Do you know what I mean? You had a purpose. When you're a step away from that, and you know everyone stops asking, "Are you okay?" You're all this, that, and the other. You're left with yourself, yeah. And that's where my issue came, when I was left with myself and me only, right? And I guess this is making the assumption. This part is like, you know, I've read on your Instagram earlier about the 10K run, you know, and the speed you ran it at, which I said earlier, which was amazing. And you know, this stuff like this podcast, and you know, this also applies to Tom there as well. This, I'm assuming, gives you guys a purpose. I mean, it gives you something to do on a Tuesday. All right, cool, I've got this. I mean, I've got something to look towards. And I think the spiral of depression, which I suffered with greatly, I couldn't. I mean, I never had anything in front of me. I mean, I never had anything in front of me to sort of work towards, and
like a project.
That was all. Yeah, like a project. And I always sort of say to people, I'm like, look, the depression, the addiction, all that was one side of it. My other side of it was building my self-worth. So I started with baby steps. Do you know what I mean? Like training myself, right? Like when I was training, doing that daily discipline, right? The gratitude list was a daily discipline. And then I would add to it, like, I learned Turkish. Do you know what I mean? I didn't need to learn Turkish. Do you know what I mean? Like, why I did it was because I was like, give me a purpose. Do you know what I mean? A little daily discipline to keep ticking off. And I just did it like that. I honestly got a guitar there, started to learn to play, you know what I mean? Just bit by bit, random stuff. And then it just started to come. And I don't know, like listening to your story there, almost feels like when that void is there, stuff like this tonight gives you something. Do you know what I mean? It gives you, you know, you're running and whatever else you guys have got going on. Do you know what I mean? It gives you a reason to get up, and, you know.
100%, mate. I started running again. I found lockdown, you know, really difficult last year. So I started running again this year. I want to try and break the record again this year. And the podcast is going from strength to strength. And yeah, mate, yeah, you've just hit the nail on the head, mate. When I look back over my times and struggles, it's been when I've had nothing going on, you know. And then when I've been really successful, it's when I've, right, come on, doing this, and just kept me diary busy and kept me kind of goals aligned and stuff. So yeah, I think it's great advice for anyone who maybe is in a bit of a, you know, down spot. It's just, you know, get a purpose again and get moving.
It's funny though, isn't it? How just being busy just helps. You know, it's so weird as humans that we have to, I think there's something drilled into us that we just have to be, I wouldn't say busy in terms of just running around like crazy, but we have to, I mean, our minds are so complex, aren't they? And if we don't feed it information and feed it something, then it just dies into itself, doesn't it? And then you just, that this whole world sort of starts crushing, you know. It's crazy. And it's so true with the podcast, mate. Every single Monday, regardless, for the past 2 years. So it'll be the 3rd of Feb. So next Wednesday will be 2 years since we started it, which happens to be 10 years since Andy was blown up. And every single Monday,
12 years,
yeah, 12 years. Sorry, 12 years. Yeah. Every single Monday there has to be an episode out. That's what, you know, that ultimately gives us, you know, it's like a project, isn't it? You know, so
that accountability as well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. All of that applies to it. Yeah, like just saying about being busy, like it's a big part of my life today. You know, like I'm able to sit on my own today, which is something I was never able to do, which is nice to have that. But I'm also not built that way, you know. It's sort of, I'm sure other people will tell you differently. It's just my personal experience. It's like, I like to challenge myself. Do you know what I mean? I like to keep moving forward. That's just who I am. Do you know what I mean? It's in my DNA since the age of a kid. I always wanted to be better and better and better. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, that's still in me today. And, you know, my biggest purpose, right, you know, is to be a father. Do you know what I mean? And to be a guy where I can look myself in the mirror, you know, not just tell my son to do this, but me be doing something different. Do you know what I mean? I like to be able to actually be a real father, a real dad, you know, even from distance right now, as he's back home in the UK. But that's my, you know, my greatest purpose, and followed by football and the recovery stuff and everything else.
Like, going on to your purpose now in Turkey, mate, how did that move actually come about then? So obviously you were getting so many rejections. How did the move to Turkey actually find?
Yeah, completely random, for a friend of a friend of a friend who'd emailed the club, and the coach at the time, very famous over here, Sergen Yalchin. He's a heavy gambler, heavy drinker, heavy smoker, and he's like, bring him over here. Like, what are you talking about? Do you know what I mean? So I came over here on a just completely random trip. Honestly, they like come for 2 days. All right, then came. Met the coach. He's just sat there puffing away. Just like,
That's mad.
he's like, listen, I couldn't care about any of that. This is through translation, basically just saying, look, if you want, we'll go Cyprus together. I couldn't give a fuck about any of that stuff that you've done. Genuinely. Like here, Cyprus, amazingly as well, Cyprus is super famous here, yeah, because there's no casino in Turkey. So that's where they will go. That's literally, so it's amazing. It's across the water from where I am. So amazing how life works out, yeah. So he's like, we'll go together. I know him all. And anyway, he said, but look, I did see you fit. He said, I know what you're about. I just need to see if you're fit. And the trial ended up being 10 days, which was apparently the plan all to begin. Turkey's just nuts, man. Do you know what I mean? So when they tell you 1 or 2 days, it's times it by 10. You know what I mean? It's nuts. So yeah, it came here on trial. 9 or 10 days later, they're like, yeah, listen, we want to sign you, and this is we'll give you a 6-month chance, and then with a 2-year option. And it was amazingly, they didn't know at the time, but about 20 times any money that I've been offered. Do you know what I mean? So like me and my agent, who's also a scout, so a really good guy, met him in rehab, been through this journey with me. Amazing guy, just really stood by me throughout all of that. We're sat there in the room, like negotiating, going outside, just laughing, thinking, flipping it, like, what's happening here? Do you know what I mean? Like, how are they even giving, like, I couldn't believe it. And yeah, and then signed, and honestly, just from that day forward, never looked back. Like, the amount of training and work I've put in on a serious note has been a lot, man. It's been intense, but I've loved it. Do you know what I mean? I come here, no one really, they knew my CV, but they didn't know who I was. Do you know what I mean? It just gave me a clean slate, and worked, and, you know, took this team from a 15th place, you know, just above relegation, minnows, as the Sun said that day. I remember seeing in the paper, like, their final mug off to me was like, signed for the minnows. Someone had screenshotted to me, and I was like, that's about right. Do you know what I mean? Like, just that sort of final kick. But took them from that to me and Poppy Cisse, ex-Newcastle, who just had, both of us got this mentality, like winning mentality, like both of us were so driven, and just raised the bar every single day. Last year finished 5th, got to the cup final. This year we were top of the league for the first 10, 11 games. We're 5th currently, also in the quarterfinals this year. Like, amazing, man. Like, club that I'm not going to sit here and take all the credit for it, but definitely been a part of, you know, me and a couple others of really driving the standards. And that's just come from my past experience. You know what I mean? So like I said, all of the stories, the doom and the gloom and the highs or whatever, like, it's all made me into who I am today and helps me help others, you know? So I'm grateful for that. You know what I mean? I really am.
He's definitely one of them, the leaders in the team, then kind of grabbing people up and kind of showing them the standards that you
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've actually got, like, given I'm in line for the armband. Do you know what I mean? So when I'm like 3rd in line, so when one of the other 2 don't play out, I've been given the armband, which is just, it's like, it doesn't mean that I was captain at the age of 21 in the Prem with Cardiff. Do you know what I mean? It doesn't mean much, right? Like, in terms of like outside world, but, you know, like inside, to be given that responsibility today after, I said, nearly 2 years training on my own, 70 clubs turning me away, to be in a position today, this January window, I've had a couple of offers come in. Teams wanted to buy me. You know, that's not happened since Rosenberg. Do you know what I mean? And aside from Rosenberg, it was a long time before that as well. So it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. But as I said, I have to keep at it on a daily basis. Otherwise, I'm aware it can go just as quickly.
Mm. Mate, it's amazing to hear, and you come across, mate, it's so humble as well, and just so appreciative of where you are now, and it's made me feel better as well, mate. I don't know, you've got a presence about you, even despite it being over Zoom. You've got an energy about you, mate, which is amazing to see and hear, given everything that you've been through. What's the chances then of, I mean, I looked at the league table before we come on, and, you know, Champions League positions maybe, or at least Europa League. I mean, or is it a case of maybe one day getting back to England? I mean, what's the kind of plan for, you know?
I don't know, to be really quite frank, I don't know the plan. I've got 6 months left on my deal. They offered me a new contract for the past 6 months, and I've I don't want to sign right now. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to sign. I want to leave my options open. It's a time where people can't afford huge transfer fees. So by signing again sort of limits my options to move somewhere else. So look, I'm keen to play in Europe. Serie A, I really like the idea of potentially one day to return to the Prem. I feel like I've got unfinished business there. I mean, absolutely no rush to return there, but I would love to one day. I think it would just cap off a really nice story / journey. Do you know what I mean? I think it'd be a really nice sort of moment. But my reputation is something that people, they don't trust me still. Do you know what I mean? I know from conversations I've had with people that they don't trust me. So all I could do is just keep doing what I'm doing. Do you know what I mean? And hopefully one day things will change, and we'll see come the end of the season. Like I said, if we do finish in the Champions League place, I very well may stay. But going by the few offers I've had, I think it's likely to move to Europe or maybe Istanbul with one of the big guns there. So we'll see.
And going a bit further afield as well, just given that you're passionate, you've got now of wanting to help people and stuff. I mean, can you see a career as maybe a coach or manager, or at least staying in football and helping younger players, lads going through addictions and stuff? Because I feel as a fan, I mean, you'll know more being a player, but I've got a feeling this goes on so much more than us fans are aware of.
Yeah, it definitely does. I would love to be a coach / manager further down the line, 100%. I never wanted to before. Hated football, hated it a few years ago, absolutely hated, despised it. Now, I would love to be involved, love to share my experience with others, i.e. public speaking. Done a bit of that actually during my time away from football, loved that. And would definitely like to be in the game. Wouldn't like to be a pundit or anything like that, but I'd like to be a coach and be able to work with players.
Yeah, I feel like you've got a lot to offer, mate. So I definitely think you should keep involved in one way or another.
I appreciate that.
I've really, really enjoyed this conversation. I think the one thing that really stuck out is, and I think Andy's told a story once of running up Everton Hills in Liverpool, looking over the city and just thinking about all the people that have got, all the variety of people that live in a city and just unfulfilled potential. There's, and just the amount of people who live day to day and just, unfulfilled potential, and you feel so guilty because of it, so, and obviously what you've been through and how you've come out, a better person. It's mate, I've really enjoyed this. I really have. Can't thank you enough for your time, honestly.
I have as well. No, I've enjoyed it. I appreciate you guys asking me to come along. I've enjoyed it. Let me know when it's out, and I'll give it a watch and a share. And
And for me personally, Stephen, as well, like I say, I just being a massive football fan. I never knew of you then, but I think just through some of the problems I've had as well, it's been humbling for me to hear you kind of talk about your struggles and relate to some of them, and to just see you there, mate, with like no ego, really humble, saying, look, this is how it was, this is how it is, and it's talk about where you are now, like you say, and despite the kind of regrets that you've got of unfulfilled potential, the fact that you're there now making amends, it's inspiring, mate, and it's been really humbling to listen to, and I'm sure it'll help a lot of people, mate. So thanks for giving up your time, mate. I appreciate it.
Thank you, mate.